Ladies and gentlemen, Jazz Borganzo, what's next? Going over a few stories in my thread, I came across this story regarding a short video, and it turned out to be a much longer article regarding rewriting Ripley. I didn't know what that was until late yesterday afternoon, and of course into this morning as I'm doing this video. There was a story a couple years back in regards to um, the quote alt-right and figures tied into that alt-right. And for those of you who remember, you had everyone from Steven Crowder to Stefan Molyneux to Sargon of Akkad to Ben Shapiro to Jordan Peterson to Steve Bannon to Alex Jones. You had a bunch of people, including those like Posobiec and Richard Spencer, involved in this situation regarding the alt-right. The alt-right died out about a year plus ago, just before the situation with COVID hit. It's back. And sadly, there have been new members added to this nonsense. And some of them, you definitely got to know who they are. Let's take a look. This, and I'm not trying to give any props to this rewriting Ripley nonsense. It's an extensive article. It's an extensive article, and it is just way too long to dive into. I mean, this would easily be maybe a half an hour video if I dived into everything from Gamergate to the alt-right to what have you. But this is very interesting. This is, this is once again, everything ties into everybody else. Now no, it's not really alt-right anymore. It's now white supremes, only because of what happened somewhat with January 6th, but also this turns out to be Star Wars, flat and simple. It's about Star Wars. It's about hating on The Last Jedi. Now, The Last Jedi was a terrible movie, and this is coming from not a Star Wars fan. This is coming from a Star Trek fan. Uh, the last three sequels were absolutely terrible. To quote Charles Barkley, they were terrible. They were terrible, terrible, terrible. But, of course, it doesn't stop those with way too much time on their hands to put together this nonsense and to tie those into those who have no correlation and some with no respect for because of what others have done in the past. But why are they tied into it? This is their little put together, and I'm just going to go through this relatively quick. The Never Just Trolls, the reactionary right-wing network behind the fandom to alt-right pipeline. So they're trying to tie the fandom menace into the alt-right, which of course the alt-right has pretty much, like I said, dead and buried. But now it's called White Supremes, So you got Steve Bannon. You got Steve Bannon. You got Peter Brimlow, VDare Foundation. For those who don't know, like I said, I'm not really familiar with Peter Brimlow. Milo just talk about a guy who pretty much fell off the planet a couple years back. Of course, Ben Shapiro, founder and head of the Daily Wire. Fan of his, fan of Dave Rubin's, like Dave Rubin. I mean, he's with the Blaze now. Richard Spencer, clown, keep moving. Paul Kersey, contributor VDare, not familiar with him. Mike Cernovich, am familiar with, not that big of a fan. Jack Posobiec, he is with One America News Network. I am familiar with his work, not Peterson, tremendous respect for. Tremendous respect for. He just came back in January after a medical layoff. Um, you got Comic Artist Pro Secrets. Yeah, I talk about extensive knowledge in the comic book industry. 26, I think he's like 28-year veteran. Um, PJW, Paul J. Watson, know him, like his videos. Alex Jones, talk about the canary in the coal mine. He was the one that basically started all that. They basically kicked him off the planet, which led to everybody else subsequently getting kicked off the planet or getting kicked off their platforms or demonetized or what have you. And then we get down to the very end. Tim Pool, very knowledgeable, credible. I watch a lot of his stuff. And then you have Jeremy at Geeks and Gamers, and then you have Jeremy at the Quartering, which is funny because at the very end, you tie these two. So these two are with Comics Artist Pro Secrets, which of course is to Jordan Peterson, Dave Rubin, Shapiro, and then Steve Bannon, and yada, yada, yada. But I'm going to show you a little clip of the video that Jeremy did, Jeremy of Geeks and Gamers. I'm going to show you what he did, and
actually trying to find a few rabbit holes that are very powerful and try to find which rabbit hole is the closest to your interest.
For me, once I started,
this is Ryan Canal. He is part of the Geeks and Gamers.
You kind of get hooked. Maybe they'll stop pushing this feminist agenda that has driven Star Wars into the ground.
We are going to talk more about Disney and their feminist agenda.
So they're basically trying to say that Ryan was radicalized, okay? Ryan knows more about Star Wars than I will ever know.
Exactly.
Ryan was against The Force Awakens while I was praising The Force Awakens. So the fact that they're trying to misrepresent Ryan, someone who knows far more about Star Wars than I will ever know, who has more knowledge of the EU and the lore than I will ever know, someone who was against Disney.
If you ever watched Ryan Canal, RK Outpost,
now they're trying to paint this
he is incredibly knowledgeable about the Star Wars universe. Incredibly knowledgeable.
Unbelievable.
She has some weird resentment towards the male fans of this franchise.
All-conquering female figure now is occluding.
This is a little video that was put together. Started to try to tie everybody in from, like I said, from Rubin to Ben Shapiro. You saw Gary from Neurotic.
She got harassed, but she did something about gun control. So
you had SC from SC Reviews.
James Gunn fired from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Why is Drunk 3PO in there?
Volume 3. This is awesome.
Documented history of dozens of anti-white tweets.
They're claiming that this was some sort of anti-white genocide.
I'm Dr. Jordan Peterson.
Of course, the video, Jordan Peterson.
Ethan
Van Sciver, comic Artist Pro Secrets.
Didn't even have the decency to fucking die.
She better die in the coma because she is a dumbass bitch.
Kelly Marie Tran being chased off.
Of course, there's enough familiar with Kelly Marie Tran's being attacked.
Now, Kelly Marie Tran. So
her character was a virtue signal character. It was a diversity character, diversity hire character.
This entire thing off with a hit piece on Geeks and Gamers. That's the first channel. That's the channel that leads to all of it right there. So why didn't they upload this right here?
See Kelly Marie Tran there. Like I said, I think she's one of the sweetest people I've ever seen in interviews.
Wow, why didn't they upload this right here? 2 full minutes. Why didn't they upload this right here?
And if she did remove all of her Instagram stuff based on harassment, that is wrong. I denounce that 100%. But I will also denounce it for Jake Lloyd and Macaulay Culkin and Michael Jackson and Hayden Christensen and Barron Trump and Sasha and Malia Obama. I will denounce it for anybody that goes through it because I do think it's wrong, and it can be overwhelming to have the internet come after you for absolutely nothing at all except.
Now, just wanted to show you a little clip of that. Like I said, I was not tremendously familiar with this article of rewriting Ripley. I did go into the article. As I showed in the beginning of the video, it is an extensive article. Like I said, way too much time on their hands. Way too much time. But the one thing I say as a fan of Geeks and Gamers, I like Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers. I like Jeremy the Quartering, Neurotic, Drunk 3D, C3PO, Drunk 3PO. Excuse me. And Josiah Rises, Mecha, Eric July, who's now a contributor, Young Ripper 59, and I'm kind of surprised they didn't drag him into this, but it's all nonsense. It's all garbage, and that's the sad thing is that you're dragging Geeks and Gamers and the Quartering into this, where they have no ties to those like Richard Spencer and Vidair, and Cernovich and Alex Jones and Milo. Total nonsense, and trash. And but that's just my take. And with that being said, I'm Jazz Borganzo. This is what's next. We'll see you guys next time. Peace.